Welcome everyone to this crisp, sunny fall day. I'm Kristen Taylor. I'm Director of Education and Community Outreach for the Mental Health Association in Michigan, also known as MHAM. We are the state chapter affiliate to the National Organization of Mental Health America. So today we're here to learn about the innovative topic of bridging the gap using AI to support clients between sessions with Dr. Darla Bishop. So with us today, Dr. Darla Bishop. She is a financial wellness expert and author of How to Afford Everything. It offers thoughtful, judgment-free workshops designed to equip individuals with the skills and clarity to take control of their financial well-being. So take it away, Dr. Darla Bishop.
Thank you so much. Can you all hear me okay? All right, great. So I've built in quite a few interactive parts of our time together today. So I want to do a quick audience check. Do you happen to have a cell phone nearby that might help us with one of the things we're doing? Okay, great. And if you don't, grab it. As you know, we are here to talk a little bit about bridging the gap between sessions. And this is really something I'm so excited to talk to you about because there are ways that are ethical, non-clinical, and genuinely helpful for you and your clients to be using AI. And although my work very much focuses on the intersection of wellness, organization, and behavior change when it comes to money, it matters in many aspects of our life, even this one. And so today we're going to be talking about what AI can safely support, what AI should not do, tools that clients can use, some ethical guardrails to pay attention to, and then we'll also be doing demos and activities throughout because I want you to be able to leave this session and put some of these things into practice as soon as next week if you are having sessions with clients or patients. And so the reason I'd asked you to grab your cell phone is we'll actually be doing some polls. I like this tool called Mentimeter. And so if you have the ability to scan the QR code, please do so. If not, I'm dropping the URL in the chat as well. So if you need to open a separate copy link, there you go. If you need to open a separate window, you can do that as well. So our very first question, and looking at my screen, I see there are a couple of people in there. Fantastic. That means you got in. Is who's in the room today? Are you a licensed mental health clinician, a case manager, peer support or navigator, an administrator or program manager, an educator or student, or just attending for your personal learning? Well, I can see in my screen it's not displaying for you, but it is showing me that I have a mix. I have some clinicians and some program staff. So we'll move on. I'd love to know, just in whether it's your regular day-to-day life, or even if you've already introduced some AI tools into your work, how confident do you currently feel recommending AI tools to clients? Are you like, oh yeah, I tell people to use ChatGPT all the time? Or when they're rewriting, I say go to Claude. Or are you super confident or not at all confident? Oh, I go straight to question 5. All right, so let's restart it. So this is how folks answered what their role is. And then the next question was, how confident do you feel recommending AI tools to clients today? And now that I've moved forward, hopefully that's showing this version as you look at it on either your screen or your phone. Okay, great. We're getting some. Okay, and so a little bit lower on the confidence level for the folks who've participated so far. Well, you're in the right place. I'm super excited for what we're going to do today. So the fact of the matter is that your clients, your coworkers, your children, your neighbors, we are all using AI every day, whether we mean to or not. I don't know if you've recently searched anything on Google, but even now, the first search result is an AI generated answer, right? People are asking AI questions. They might even be journaling with it, organizing their schedules, or rehearsing conversations. And so, as people who are guiding people through a therapy or other helping, our role is to guide safe use when it comes to AI. So that way, the clients can benefit from the structure and reflection without AI drifting into that therapeutic territory. The idea is that AI is support for therapy, not substitution. We've seen some pretty big news stories recently about folks who were really relying on AI to think through their thoughts and that ending really poorly. And so, as that conversation continues and we see more stories like that, you being equipped on how to guide your patients and clients' use will be even more important. The reason I love to show something like this is that AI is built into many, many tools, right? And so this is just a subset of how AI is being used to do work differently, perhaps faster, perhaps more efficiently. Today, we're going to focus on two tools that kind of fall in the research and text feed. And so we're going to do our demos using OpenAI's ChatGPT, and I'm going to show you one feature on Claude, just in case you are interested in using that one as well. For our purposes today, I am more practiced at using ChatGPT, so that's where we'll really spend the majority of our time. And so, what are some of the things that AI can be used safely to support clients? One, organizing their thoughts, right? Like if they have been thinking through an issue, thinking through a program, thinking through how to move forward on something, just getting those thoughts from the jumble that might already be in their brain into something that feels more linear or easier to communicate to someone else can be so deeply helpful. Another thing that's helpful is journaling prompts so that as they are working through any issue, any memory, any plan, that having a way to reflect in response to a question or journaling prompt can help get them further along that journey. Also, breaking down tasks. If someone is in the position of feeling overwhelmed, using AI to break down the tasks into more digestible or actionable steps can release a lot of that overwhelm and help get someone to action. Tracking stress or habits so that way they can bring the output of that tracking to their session and you all can look at patterns together and break those down. Script writing for conversations. And so there are some conversations that have to be had, but are really difficult. And so going through the process of rehearsing the conversation, thinking about what questions or hesitations or pushback might come from the other person in the conversation can really help someone get through that conversation, especially if it's a crucial or difficult conversation, more easily. And then because I'm the money lady, I know that financial stress is a huge part of what is happening to all of us in today's economy. And so getting through some basic budgeting can actually be really helpful if someone is struggling financially for any reason. And these are all non-clinical and action-oriented tasks. Now, what it's super at least equally or possibly more important to be clear about what AI should not do. It shouldn't diagnose, interpret emotions, give coping strategy, analyze trauma, or provide safety planning. So anytime AI is drifting into these areas, it crosses ethical boundaries, and that's where we have to step in. So one of the ways that I like to think about this is supportive versus inappropriate. Supportive gives structure, things like lists, organization, scripts, reminders. Inappropriate use attempts to process emotions, give guidance, interpret inner experiences, right? So, one of the things that I frequently say as a good guiding principle is that if it sounds like therapy, if it starts sounding like therapy, it belongs in therapy. If it starts sounding like therapy, it belongs in therapy. So I'd love to show you what supportive use can look like in action. So I'm going to demonstrate a journaling prompt and AI as an accountability buddy. So for today's demo, I am using ChatGPT. I'm going to both demonstrate typing in, but also my favorite is voice notes. I love making both voice notes, which I just get to talk out my question or thought, and it transcribes it so that the AI model can work through it. And then using the voice function where I actually talk to and the voice responds. Let me just make sure that I have my sound turned on because for that part, it needs to be turned on. Okay, yes, it's on. Great. For AI as an accountability partner, one of the ways that I might do with the large language models like Claude, like ChatGPT, which we're using today, there are a few really best practices that help get a great result. You want to tell the large language model what their role is. So in this case, I'm going to tell it, today, you're my accountability buddy. Each day I sign in, please ask me three things. One, what's my top priority today? Two, what might get in the way? And three, what is one small step I can take to move forward? Now, this is a very open-ended prompt with no personal information. If I wanted to give a bit more context, I am on a weight loss journey. I'm working to manage my stress. Those are things that can be easily added in as detail, and I still have not provided any personal information, my name, my location, so that the result can be more helpful. And the reason that this can be helpful as a daily check-in is if I wanted to start my day this way, then it gives me the opportunity to be in a space where I'm responding to a question that's posed versus having to be in my head. And I know me personally, I find it much easier to answer questions that are posed than to kind of think in the abstract. And so this is one use where it can be very helpful. Have any of you used ChatGPT for something like this in the past? No. Okay. Well, I'm glad that we were able to show that. Another task that can be very helpful is, say one of the things we're working on is really want to reorganize my home because I know that if my space was cleaner or more organized or less cluttered, that that would just help my life move smoother. Perhaps I'd have less fog or mental distraction, right? And so one of the other tasks is that could really help is to break down a task. So I might say, I my house is really disorganized. Give me a 10-minute task I can do each day for the next week that will make a big difference in the clutter. Now, to help chat, I'm going to tell it a little bit about my house, but again, not revealing any private or personal information, right? I'm going to say I have 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a mid-size kitchen that needs lots of help, right? So I've given some details, but not revealed anything private that if someone found out I had a messy house, they probably already knew anyway. So here, it's going to give me day by day something that I can do. And because I gave it the parameter of I only want it to take me 10 minutes because that's about all I can stand. I can put on 2 songs, I can put on a timer, I can make my mom, I can body double. That's something that's very helpful to me. Today, I called a friend and I said, hey, tell me all about your life. I'm going to clean my office while you do that. Because the distraction of having that partner to just talk about something else meant that I could finish the task of cleaning up my office. And so this broke down a really overwhelming idea of my whole house is a mess into 7 10-minute tasks that I could do. And if this is followed, we may even find that the person has a little bit of energy restored and they do even more than what was suggested because they see that even after just a few days of these 10-minute drills, that they are making progress on the state of their home. Now, I've been doing a ton of talking, And so I just want to pause and check. Any reactions, any questions?
I'll say for me, I didn't even think of something like this for Chat GPT. I'm like, I could totally do this because I'm one of those people that I'm just not as cool as the other cool kids that use it all the time. So I found that helpful.
Oh, great. Well, I'm happy to hear that. And the cool thing about it is because it's a learning model and you are a learning human, you actually grow in your skills pretty quickly as you start to use it for different tasks.
It's
Okay,
interesting.
I'd love.
I
Oh,
was
go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
was just talking to a client the other day about literally the same thing about cleaning their house like little by little. And the thing is that a lot of times, I deal with a lot of ADHD people. And so that executive functioning skill is kind of, we're still working on it. Let's just say that. But a lot of times it's also accompanied by depression. And so they don't even have the energy to plan ahead like this, right? Or, oh gosh, I have to do this every single week. And so this is a very easy way to kind of externalize some of the thinking that needs to happen and hopefully get into the habits a little bit easier, make it a little bit easier for them to access some of what we've been talking about in session. So yeah.
That's right. And as the clinician, you could, the first few times, you could say, okay, give me your phone. We're going to have ChatGPT create a task list for you. And you could have them hand you their phone. You could help them open the app or website. And you could do the prompt at first. So then it's on their phone. And then you could even say, okay, before you leave, let's set little daily reminders. What time do you want a 10-minute reminder to pop up that it's day one, clean the kitchen. It's day two, wipe the counter. It's day three, right? And so that even taking, it might take a full 10 minutes, but might make their week or that 2 weeks between your next session really help them get through some of that slog of life. Yeah. And so I'd love to, now that I've shown you just a couple of applications and gave you a few examples, I'd love to know what are some of what's one way your client might use AI for support between sessions? Does anything occur to you now that you hadn't thought about before? Daily schedule, practice for an interview, discussion topics, motivational prompts. These are great examples. And so jot these down as things that you could have in your pocket, unique affirmations specific to the thing that they're working through or working to change their brain on. So now you have 5 ideas right away that you could start to use immediately, to-do lists. So I always have to bring money into it. So let's talk about the financial piece, right? So since financial stress is emotional stress, AI can actually help clients organize financial information without giving advice. So things like list my bills. And if they are using the ChatGPT app, they can take pictures or screenshots of the bill and they can crop it so that it doesn't have their address, but it just has the information and what the company is up, and then upload that into the app and say, make me a list of what bills are due on which date. So then I can have a calendar of sorts. You can plan for upcoming expenses. You can say, I know that next month so and so has a birthday, the soccer fees are due for my child, and we really got to start putting something away for the vacation we're taking in 3 months. Make me a to-do list of things to do with money. Break down overwhelming tasks, or even build a simple weekly budget or grocery list that sticks to a budget. And ChatGPT is web enabled, unlike Claude. And so I like ChatGPT for something like the task of making a grocery list because I can tell it, I usually shop at Aldi. I have 3 adults and 2 kids in my house. We don't eat pork, but we love chicken and fish. I need 3 dinners and some snacks. Vegetable heavy, because if I don't feed the kids vegetables, they might not eat them. Please make me a grocery list and do your best to keep it at $80 for the week because I know we're still going to hit the drive-through on the nights we have soccer. And from there, I talk to it just like I would talk to somebody I'm giving a to-do list to, it then can make me a grocery list for Aldi with some of the ingredients I mentioned and keep it pretty close to the budget parameter that I asked. So I wanted to check. Oh, we got a couple more while we were away from the screen. Oh, a prompt to meditate and prompt meditation before. Let's talk ethics, right? So this is really the heart of today's session. When we talk about ethics, this is like privacy, right? What clients should not put into AI, the boundaries around AI not being the emotional container, that we need to make sure that our clients and patients are thinking about scope, that AI stays in the organizational lane. Again, if it's starting to sound like therapy, it belongs in therapy. If the tool is helping me to get, stay, or become more organized, great. We also need to keep in mind that there is an equity issue here, right? Not all clients have access to AI tools or don't believe they have access, or they just may not have comfort or may have real strong convictions, personal or moral, about the use of AI. And so when introducing these tools as a possibility, be sure to do so in a way where you are keeping in mind that everyone has a different relationship, access, and comfort to these types of tools. And how you introduce AI really does matter. And so these are some of the guardrails to keep in mind. One more time, if it sounds like therapy, it belongs in therapy. So using this line with your clients will help them to have that own kind of voice in their head as they're using it. Like, this is starting to sound like therapy. Let me pause. Let me change directions, get back into the organization bucket. Okay, I want to use voice mode with you all because this is my favorite. So if you haven't gathered, talking comes really easy to me. So once I figured out that I could talk to ChatGPT, not like he's my best friend because he's not, I have a real life friend for that, but to be able to naturally and verbally process was a game changer for me. And this can be super helpful because many clients, many humans prefer speaking to typing. And I want to do this using a grounding exercise. So let me switch screens. There are two little sound icons. One looks like a microphone. Now the microphone is dictation. So what that allows me to do is allows me to talk, but then it transcribes it so that it becomes the prompt. So I'll demonstrate that one for you now.
It's soft, but it's still quite cold. It's good.
I would like you to guide me through a simple grounding exercise to help me feel more present. Do not provide mental health advice, interpretation, or emotional analysis. Keep this strictly as a skills practice activity. Push the check mark. So now it's going to, it transcribed what I said. It even caught that last part, push the check mark. I'm going to delete that. We don't need it. And I'm going to set it up. So the grounding exercise it's giving to me is step 1, sit comfortably, place both feet on the floor. That feels okay. Take one slow inhale and one slow exhale. So it's giving me the written prompt. So if I wanted to print this or keep it as a screenshot in my phone, I can do that. Now I want to show you voice mode. So voice mode is the other sound, and it is over to the right. Hi, I would like you to guide me through a simple grounding exercise to help me feel more present. Do not provide mental health interpretation or emotional analysis. Keep this strictly as a skills practice activity.
Absolutely.
Can you all hear it talking back to me?
I can't hear anything from my end, just you. So it's like it's all clear and you're good to go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt the exercise. I'm ready to be present. Please guide me through the exercise. My eyes are closed, and so I am listening to what you tell me to do.
No problem at all. Eyes closed. Let's do a simple 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First, right? And now we come to the spot.
And we do it again. That felt really good. Do you have another exercise we can do that helps me just take a deep breath? And I'm going to end it. Now, the voice that is here, I selected because I liked it. There are about 8 voice options with various deepness, male versus female, um, accents from various parts of the world. And so you can also play with this if there's one particular voice that sometimes when I'm like really trying to work through something, there's a higher pitched voice that I like to use. And then when I'm working to be calm, it's a deeper voice that I like to use for something like this. So now we're going to play a little game. Get your Mentimeter out. We're going to play supportive or inappropriate. So I'm going to put a few scenarios on the screen and you're going to vote whether they're supportive or inappropriate. We'll talk through why each one of them falls where it does. And what I'm hoping is that this helps to build your clinical instincts around boundary setting with AI use. So if you still have your Mentimeter, so is AI helping a client to rewrite a breakup text supportive or inappropriate? Okay. I would love to know why you voted, why you did. For the folks who said this would be inappropriate, why did you rank it as inappropriate to have AI help rewrite a breakup text?
I think I put supportive because it's rewriting a text that's already been written. It's not like it's generating ideas for you that may or may not be like contextually appropriate, I guess, but it's rewriting something. So kind of, you know, like you said, keep it within the organizational lane. Like, how do I organize my thoughts better? Maybe it would be better to point out to the client, don't put any personal information in this as you are prompting, you know, ChatGPT to kind of rewrite it for you, but so that no personal data is kind of put out there. But, you know, how do I organize my thoughts in a way that sounds like it flows properly, that is convincing? And you can also give it the prompts of stay away from this sort of language, or make sure you include these points with this language. I think that's why I chosen supportive.
Yeah. And someone said that this might be inappropriate because AI lacks human emotion that might be essential. Yeah, and that is an important point. When I designed this question, I thought that this might be supportive, and here's why. The way that I might use AI to help me rewrite a text or even an email that might be difficult is I might say, here are all the things that I need the other person to really understand in this situation. But I don't know which is the best to start with and which is the best to end with. So could you rewrite this so that it's really clear so that the person doesn't have any question about what I'm working to communicate, just so it can feel like it flows better. And then it will give me an updated version of what I gave it to start with. And I can take or leave the adjustments, but it may trigger for me, oh, if I say this part first, or take this part out in the middle because it actually muddies or makes it less clear, that's where the AI could be supportive. And yes, you're right that AI lacks the human emotion. And so the idea here would be to keep it in the help me keep my thoughts organized piece, less help me to communicate to this other human. And it's a fine line, which is why we're doing these scenarios. Next, AI creating a safety plan for a client. So far, the group is saying inappropriate. I agree. What I will say, though, is AI could be helpful when it comes to a safety plan. Maybe I need to share the safety plan with someone in my life, and I haven't really known how to bring it up. So I could say, hey, AI, my therapist helped me create a safety plan. You don't need to know the details, but how do I send this in a text or an email to key people in my life so that they know that I have one and this is what I'm following? So it might help me to explain it or to share it with other people without me having to give any of the details about the safety plan itself. Okay, how about this one? AI helping a client to organize a financially overwhelming situation. Ooh, for the inappropriate, tell me more.
If the client is overwhelmed, there's a very strong possibility that they might not be able to give the quality of input necessary to solve their own problem, let alone give AI the information that's going to be valuable enough to come to a reasonable conclusion. Okay, the overwhelmed part is the part that makes me consider that it might not be. If the person was not overwhelmed, uh, perhaps, but being overwhelmed and trying to depend on something like that, I wouldn't trust it. I think I would want to get a human, a financial planner, advisor, or somebody.
Thank you for sharing that. AI analyzing or interpreting a client's trauma symptoms. Like if I said, ChatGPT, my bedroom is always a mess. What's that about? Thank you for your responses. So this is one of those great times to pull out that little phrase. If it feels like therapy, it belongs in therapy. So anytime we are asking AI to interpret or to diagnose, that we're in that danger zone. And so pull out, find your therapist. Do not pass go. Thank you for participating. I came up with a few of those, but are there any other scenarios that you thought of that you want to talk through and maybe get the group's vote on whether that would be supportive or inappropriate or somewhere in the middle?
I had a question if it's okay.
Please.
So you had mentioned earlier using ChatGPT to maybe track like patterns, which, as therapists we do all the time, like, track your sleeping or your eating or, overall like healthy habits or unhealthy habits. How would you prompt ChatGPT to help in such a scenario?
Ooh, if you don't mind, can we do it live? Can we do it live?
Sure.
Perfect. Let's try a few different ways. So 2 things immediately came to mind. So let's try the first one. I don't want to use voice for this because I want to, when you're in the voice, you talk and it talks. And then at the end, you get the transcript. But for this, it'll be more helpful for me to see the words because I'm going to ask it to help me create a tracker. Hey, I've been trying to do a better job of seeing patterns in how I've been sleeping and whether or not I'm waking up at night. But I need a tracker that is very easy to use, or else I won't use it. I do have a cell phone that I never let leave my side. So could you suggest some system I could use for tracking my sleep on my cell phone? And so here it's giving me a couple of options. It's saying I could use a dedicated sleep tracking app and giving me a well-reviewed choice here. It's telling me that if I prefer something, I could set up a log sheet in my phone and gives me instructions on how to set it up. And then it's actually helping me with a bit of a decision tree where if I like automation and I don't mind the start tracking step, go with an app. If I prefer super simple and minimal intervention, go with a manual log. And it's reminding me that committing to at least 7 nights will give me a pattern. Now, as the therapist, you may be bringing up AI, but your client might share with you, oh, I've been using AI, or someone suggested I use AI to do this. And here are a few things that you can remind your client or your patient so that they keep it in those guidelines. So if a client is saying, you know what, I've heard that ChatGPT could help me with this, or maybe I should go to Claude or Perplexity to kind of think through this out. So here are a few guidelines, reminding them to not share personal or identifying details. There are tons of ways to give examples, to give relevant information that have nothing to do with your name, your address, your kids, where you live. So not needing to share personal and identifying details. Keeping the task practical. That what ChatGPT and other AI models really shine at, where they can be the hero, is helping you to take things that are big and breaking them down into small, or helping you to reformat or reorganize something so that it's easier or clearer or smoother. So reminding them to keep the things that you're asking ChatGPT or other AI to help you with very much practical. And then bringing those notes or questions back to the session. So if they are hanging out with ChatGPT in between sessions, to be like, oh, have you spent any time with your AI buddy? And anything interesting come from the prompts or the tasks or a new tracker, to kind of make that part of the conversation so that you can also glean if your patient or client is kind of veering off into that, that sounds a little bit like therapy, so you can help them come back, right? And then reminding that it's super important to avoid diagnostic or emotional questions, because then that kind of breaks that line where if it feels like therapy, it's got to come to therapy. So avoiding that diagnostic or emotional questions, because it does not have that emotional capacity. It's a machine. These are a couple of the plug and play prompts that might help, and this is one of the materials that you'll get after this session. I have been using this here to help us guide our sample activities, and this was AI generated. So I told AI, I told my chat assistant here, I'm doing a presentation. These are the things that we're going to be talking about. I believe the audience will be some clinicians, some like admin people. And so I want to give them a few plug and play prompts that they could give right to their clients, should they want to put some of these into practice, for them to test out on their own or to go ahead and give to their clients. And so the 4 roles that it gave me were accountability buddy. And we used one of those examples earlier where I'm saying, hey, I'm trying to get better at X, and I need a way to ask myself some questions or to track what I'm doing. Another one is to break down overwhelm. So I'm feeling overwhelmed by this thing. I want to accomplish this by this date. Can you help me break this down into small bite-sized pieces so that I can make progress toward the goal? There's also the grounding exercise, where maybe I'm having a day and I don't have a safe person to call in the moment, but I know that if I can listen to something, whether it's a meditation, a YouTube video, or maybe because chat's on my phone, I might even push the voice note and say, hey, I like your voice today. Please lead me through a grounding technique so I can just be present in the moment. And then helping to prepare for a tough conversation. Earlier, when I'd asked you about what ways you might suggest a client or know a client is using tools like this, is interview prep, right? And so while we're hoping it's not a tough conversations, interviews can definitely activate your nervous system and a bit of anxiety in wanting to do a good job. And so getting the AI to help you prepare for a difficult conversation or interview can be very helpful in terms of helping you to clarify your main points, anticipate possible reactions or questions so that you can rehearse your answer to them, and creating a simple script or bullet points ahead of the conversation. And each of these still stays pretty safely, very safely in that wellness, like supportive lane, without going over to, this is starting to feel or sound like therapy. So all of this comes down to this. AI can certainly support structure, reflection, and organization. And it's helpful when you and your client set and understand the boundaries so that the ethical use is really clear. And we know that small tools can absolutely make big gains for clients. And AI absolutely works best when it's used to support, not replace therapy. This is the end of my prepared remarks and demonstrations. But if there are any other things you'd like to play out or role play, I've got the chat window open. Happy to take questions, scenarios.
Besides ChatGPT, what are some of the other AI tools that we might refer?
Yes. Okay. So the three that I use most frequently for this purpose would be ChatGPT in many of the ways that I demonstrated today. Claude. Now, I like Claude whenever I'm writing long form. So say I need to write a letter. Say I need to write an email. Say I need to write um, I need to document a series of events. I like Claude for things like that because its writing style feels more refined than ChatGPT. Another tool that I use is Perplexity. Now, Perplexity is an AI-powered search engine. And what Perplexity helps you to do is to find actual real sources for information. And so the way that I use this as a professional, say I want to present at a conference or I'm pitching Kristen, hey, I think I want to come talk about AI for your clinicians. I might go to Perplexity and say, what studies have been done about AI in the mental health space? And because it's taking me to the actual source, it's a little bit cleaner and easier than going to like Google Scholar. Or right now, I'm not currently active with a university. I sometimes teach at Michigan State, but since I'm not active this semester, I don't have access to the MSU library, right? And so that helps me to find a real source and often can help me find an open access way to read the full study or article. And so I like using Perplexity AI when I'm looking for sources in peer-reviewed journals, articles, and other publications. And because it's AI empowered, I can ask the question, I want to know more about AI and mental health care. And I can ask it just like that, and it'll pull up several sources with direct links to the publication. Thank you for asking that.
Darla, have you seen anything around clinicians needing insurance for AI advice, or have you ever seen anything around that?
No, not yet. I think this is all still very new, even though the um, integration of AI into so many of the tools is happening very quickly. Our regulatory bodies just haven't caught up yet. And so I haven't even seen statements come out from, some of our big national organizations like, the Medical Association or the Mental Health Association National about this yet. I think what I have seen is there is a lot of curiosity around how we can leverage these tools and this technology to make things better for us as humans. And so there have been entire conferences dedicated to AI plus, whatever the plus is, right? But I think we haven't figured out that regulatory space just yet. We're all just doing our best and trying to use the frameworks we have from other parts of our work, those ethical guidelines, to make sure that we're at least overlaying them when these things come up in conversation. But I haven't seen anything formal coming out just yet.
Gotcha.
Darla, what do you think about some of the electronic records systems using AI to like write treatment plans or intake notes or even session notes? I know we use therapy notes at our practice, but we've all kind of decided collectively to not use it until there are some of those more regulatory kind of pieces in place. But what is your experience, or what are your thoughts on the ethicality of using some of those AI tools in order to write treatment, plans or therapy notes or any of those sorts of things?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that. So during the day, my day job, I actually work at a Medicaid health plan.
Mhm.
And some of the ways that we've been using AI in our data analytics is to find those patterns that are exist but are kind of periodic, where maybe there's every few years we see an uptick in something, but then it goes away, and then we see an uptick in something and then it goes away, but because there were years between, we're missing it. And so we saw that we ran a report, and the AI model showed us that it is likely that this year we are going to have a tougher than normal flu season. And so that prompted us to double down on some of our marketing for flu shots, and making sure that people knew that flu shots are covered with no cost, where they can go to get it, with an appointment, without an appointment. Making sure that we are promoting other flu clinics around our service area, so that even if they didn't get it with their insurance, they know where they could go get a flu season. Putting out reminders about hand washing and protective, PPE, even though we're not using those terms anywhere, but like ways to protect yourself from flu. And then putting out targeted messaging for older members who might also be at risk for things like pneumonia or shingles, and making sure that they understood what they could do if they had certain sets of symptoms. Putting out specific messaging to our people with asthma to make sure that their rescue medications are filled and on them, and reminding them that if you have kids in school, here's how you go through the process to get the second inhaler so that they can have one at home and school. So that prompted us to do a little bit more communications, marketing, education work, in case it is going to be a tougher than normal flu season. We don't know if that's the case, but that's what the model said, that it's been a few years based on what we've seen over the last 30. It's about time for us to have a rough flu season. So health plan, make some plans around that. And so that was very helpful to us. Now we'll get to the end of flu season to know whether or not those extra efforts were necessary. But if a significant portion, especially of our at-risk populations, had more information, were prepared, maybe we'll totally have the best flu season we've had in a while because we did that extra effort. And so to answer your question directly, because I gave you an example from how we're using it at work, is I think with the appropriate guardrails, that many of us have all of these ethical things that we are following from being in the profession, right? Oh yes, let me unshare, sorry. Okay, thank you, Kristen. That as we as long as we stay within the guardrails, just like we would in the other parts of our practice, that will probably be okay most of the time. And if we are still doing all the things to protect our patient information, to not share it with people who shouldn't have it, and that we're using it for the purpose of improving care and outcomes, that will likely be on the right side of history as we do the work. At least that's how I've been approaching it.
Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you for asking.
Any other questions or comments for Dr. Bishop?
Well, I'll just say thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope that this triggered something beautiful. What are those called? Glimmers. That you got a glimmer of some way that you could potentially be using AI to make some part of your life easier or smoother. That ways that you might help the patients and clients in your life get through things that are hard in between your sessions. And things that you could just be using to provide tools and tips in a way that makes it easier. Because if you've got a 50-minute clinical hour and you've got 10 minutes to both make notes and give a resource, perhaps that being able to AI generate a to-do list or a prompt list or a journaling exercise or a cleaning list can help you use that hour to its full capacity without slipping over time. Yes, so in addition to the slides, you will get the same prompt that I used to help us get through some of the demos today. It's called AI support scripts, and these are non-clinical wellness tools. And so I used AI to generate it. And so it doesn't have any special formatting because I just wanted you to know that I used AI to help me prepare for today's conversation, and that you now have these prompts that you can practice using, that you can play with, or that you can share with clients in practice. So it's just a 2-page document with a few support prompts that can be helpful.
So thank you, Darla, for being here. We always appreciate you joining us because you have some cool out of the box subject matter that we appreciate. There she is in the chat, info@darlabishop.com. She's got her QR code up there right now with her website and all the good things that she can offer. So again, thank you, Dr. Bishop, for being here.